Hi, Dr. Mchunguzi.
Yes, thanks very much for having me here.
Okay, we are very happy to meet you today.
Yes.
And we have come to speak several issues. And as we know what is going on in Congo, especially in DRC.
DRC Congo, yes.
Yes, at Goma actually. And the other places.
Bukavu.
Yeah,
Bukavu.
And as we know that almost it has passed 10 days since a meeting of the heads of states and the government in Dar es Salaam meeting that was held, probably talking about what is going at Congo.
Yeah.
And after that, 10 days later, as East African community, are we the right track, as you can see?
Let me say thanks very much for having me, and thanks very much for wanting to know on the 10 days elapsed after the meeting of the heads of state and government in Dar es Salaam to deliberate on the Democratic Republic of Congo. My name is Dr. Dennis Mchunguzi, and I'm the Executive Director of AFREDA and President of AFRONITA, and I take most of the time to speak with all of you on various issues pertaining to national and international socio-economic, political, and cultural developments. And it's my pleasure that you guys have always been looking for me wherever there are issues of a national or international nature. And that's how the world should go, because we are all here to make sure the world, the continent, and the region becomes peaceful for everybody of us to be able to live in. So, as I say, Dr. Dennis Mchunguzi is my name, and I'm always reached through WhatsApp or other numbers, which is +255 717 777 222, +255 769 888, and I can reach from anywhere in the world. And those wishing to continue the discussions and deliberations can get me on WhatsApp, where the number is always available for everybody to contribute ideas for a peaceful world. As you say, it has been 10 days. You're right, since they met on the 8th, I think. And it's almost 10 days, you're right, since the meeting in Dar es Salaam. And you want to know, what am I thinking, what are my perspectives with regard to that? And you're asking, as East African community, where do we stand? Let me say that to answer your question, let me begin by saying that first, let me thank the heads of state and government who met in Dar es Salaam with their and some countries were represented, but not necessarily by the heads of state and government didn't come, but sent representatives, ambassadors, and everybody. And I thank all of them. It was nice that the meeting was held. It was unfortunate that the Congo President, Tshisekedi, didn't turn up in Dar es Salaam. Neither was his foreign minister, something which we missed. But that's not a problem. You might remember that he equally didn't participate at the earlier Zoom meeting that was held before the Dar es Salaam meeting. And he actually even never turned up in Addis Ababa for the AU meeting. So it was an unfortunate situation. I don't blame him, because he has all the reasons. He knows why he never attended those meetings, but it was important for him to be at such meetings, or probably he's the Minister for Foreign Affairs, something which didn't happen. But I'd like to thank Samia for hosting the meeting, Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, the President of the United Republic of Tanzania, and the co-chairs of the meeting, Dr. William Samoei Ruto and Mr. Emerson Mnangagwa, the President of Zimbabwe. Dr. William Ruto is the President of the Republic of Kenya and Chair of East Africa, and Emerson Mnangagwa, His Excellency, the President of Zimbabwe, is the Chair of SADC. So I'd like to thank them much, as I've already thanked Excellency Dr. Samia Suluhu Hassan, who was the host of the meeting, and all those who participated. Looking at developments 10 days later, very important that we look at that. Where are we as East Africa? What I might say is that we are moving well. We hope for peace, because the communique which came out of the meeting in 3 languages, which are English, French, and Portuguese, sets ideas and gives a way which, if implemented correctly, then we might come up with something. The communique, unfortunately, was not produced in Kiswahili. It was in English, Portuguese, and French. But I've seen in WhatsApp groups people translating it for others to understand more on what was deliberated in Dar es Salaam. So if that is implemented correctly, then we would get a way of getting a lasting peace solution and peace and attainment in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. What I have seen, however, within the 10 days, there are some few issues which leave us with question marks, and I'd like to mention them. Much as you can get everything through YouTube, through Google, through WhatsApp, through Instagram, through Facebook, through WhatsApp groups, there are a few issues which, according to me, leave us as East Africa community with question marks. 1, Uganda is a member of the East Africa community. And recently, the chief of the Defense Forces of Uganda, General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, wrote in one of the social media platforms that he's giving a 24-hour ultimatum to one of the rebel groups inside Congo, which is not M23. These are ADF, who want to destabilize Uganda. He's giving them 24-hour notice ultimatum to lay down guns and weapons. Otherwise, he's going to fight them inside Congo. This is General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, and he mentions in that statement on the social media that he has instructions and blessings from his father, His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, who is the president of Uganda. Now, the Dar es Salaam meeting saw dialogue and diplomacy and negotiations as one of the best model of getting problems solved inside Congo. General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the CDF of Uganda, wants to go inside Uganda and start a fight. And start, of course, it's a general cause, it's a positive cause, he's invited by the Congolese government to fight the rebels, but has he measured the impact of such a combat, fire combat, in terms of how many refugees would be produced, how many casualties would we have, how much infrastructure would be destroyed, how much property would be destroyed, how many deaths, you know, has he made all those estimates? And that also, to me, it goes contrary to what the Dar es Salaam communique says, which requires people to use more dialogue, roundtable discussions, reconciliations, and all that kind of stuff. So I saw General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, much as he has a just cause of fighting the ADF rebels inside Congo, that it might be contrary to what the East Africa community and SADC thinks, that discussions with the rebels would be one of the best options like that. So that's much of what I saw, that it still puts us on the crossroad as East Africa. But also, in addition to that, I'm looking at M23, who had already captured Bukavu, Goma, by the time the meeting was in Dar es Salaam. And that's why Goma is highly mentioned in the communique. But they have now moved on and captured Bukavu, another city in South Kivu province. Goma is North Kivu province. Now they have captured Bukavu, and what I hear, they want to move to Uvira, another city in South Kivu province. That's what M23 want to do. But religious leaders in Congo, led by the Catholic Church, the Muslims, the Protestants, and others, have all called for ceasefire and end of hostilities through negotiations, through dialogue. And that's what the Dar es Salaam meeting, which you are referring to, commended. And that's what is commended also by the Luanda process and the Nairobi process. And the Dar es Salaam meeting agreed that the Luanda process led by the president of Angola and the Nairobi process led by the former president of Kenya, Uhuru Kenyatta, be joined together into the Luanda-Nairobi process, or Nairobi-Rwanda process, whatever the name is. Now, they all talk about dialogue, and that's what even the United Nations Secretary General, Antonio Guterres, on Saturday meeting the journalists in Addis Ababa, also talked about dialogue and diplomacy. as means of getting us on the right track in the eastern part of Congo. Now, when Muhoozi Kainerugaba, the CDF of Uganda, wants to go by force to enter there, I say he has a just cause. He has to fight the rebels, fine, but that would be contrary to what the Dar es Salaam agreed. The other thing, which I see apart from M23, who have decided to keep on fighting rather than sitting down and negotiating, is that the president of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, for many times has not shown a willingness of talking to the M23 rebels. He doesn't like to sit on table with them, and this might be a very big problem. That might be a big problem. And that's why I've always, in our discussion groups, in WhatsApp groups, I've always been calling upon His Excellency President Felix Tshisekedi to talk to the rebels.
And what do you think to he doesn't want to talk to them?
Maybe there are so many reasons I cannot speak on his behalf, but whatever reasons he has to do that, because history has shown us that not speaking to them and sitting on a round table, in most cases it doesn't work. Now, I cannot think as to why he does not like to talk to the rebels, but I think he has to do so. The other thing which I've seen within the 10 days, and which puts the East Africa community and we as East Africans on the crossroad, is the whole thing about Burundi.
Okay.
I've talked about Congo and Uganda. Let's talk about Burundi, a member of the East Africa community, because your question deliberated on the East Africa community.
Yes.
The president of Burundi, His Excellency Evariste Ndayishimiye, has officially declared war on Rwanda. Last week, while distributing food in the northern part of Burundi, Evariste Ndayishimiye, the president of Burundi, declared war on Rwanda. And he told Burundians that Rwandans are their enemies, and is going to fight them, and is going to win the war, like they won in the 17th century. After winning, there is a city where he was distributing the food. It was given a name which says, we won war against Rwanda. So he said, history is going to repeat itself. They are going to fight Rwanda, and they are going to win the war. Now, this is a member of the East Africa community. Burundi, waging war on Rwanda and declaring war on Rwanda. And what we saw on Sunday is that His Excellency President Ndayishimiye of Burundi has started to round up Rwandans and Congolese who are, we call Banyamulenge. He's putting them in trucks, taking them where? I don't know. And I call upon the international community to look very carefully into that, because we are not interested to see other genocide processes happening inside Burundi. The unfortunate part of it is this. Burundi is a poor country. People in Burundi, the majority, cannot manage 1 meal per day. Get me correct. And you can go to Burundi today. Okay. Not 2 meals. Okay. You guys have 3 meals. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. In Burundi, very few people can manage 1 meal per day. And we spent years and years trying to solve problems in Burundi. You remember Bill Clinton came to Tanzania. Nelson Mandela, Julius Nyerere, they had a whole night in Arusha trying to solve problems of Burundi. We went through many problems. We had refugees from Burundi in 1972. We still have refugees from Burundi today. In Tanzania, in Congo, and some other places. Now, Evariste Ndayishimiye himself has been a victim of conflict. He left the university because of conflict. He never completed university. He completed later. He has been himself running out of the country because of conflict. He has all the poor people on the continent in his country. And what I think he should do is deal with the problems of getting refugees back to Burundi and improving the lives of the people in Burundi. But he is busy waging a war on Rwanda. Now, what I want to tell him is this. Your Excellency, Mr. President Evariste Ndayishimiye, what we learn from literature, you cannot win a war against Kagame, Paul. It's from literature. I don't know the capacity of the army of Rwanda. But what I understand, if Evariste Ndayishimiye launches a war against Rwanda, Burundis will be slaughtered like chickens. So I'm using that statement. They cannot manage Kagame. He's going to beat them like children. They won't go anywhere. What will happen then? Refugees will be produced out of Burundi to where? Tanzania. Tanzania, who supports the refugees? United Nations High Commission of Refugees and the government of Tanzania and the citizens of Tanzania. UNHCR budget is out of question because Trump has pulled out of UNHCR. 2023, out of 10 billion of UNHCR budget, global budget, Trump contributed $1.1 billion US dollars. Now that is out. So, Ndaishimia, you produce refugees and you think they will come to Tanzania and you will receive them. We don't have a budget. Our parliament is meeting in April, I think, up to June in Dodoma to deliberate on our budget for 25-26. I don't think there will be a vote for Burundi refugees. So what I'm telling His Excellency, Mr. President Ndaishimia, don't launch a war against Rwanda. That will be counterproductive and you will get into more serious problems. Leave that idea, concentrate on building the socio-economic, political and cultural development of the people of Burundi. Last point on your question is Rwanda itself. Before the meeting in Dar es Salaam, His Excellency President Paul Kagame had told South Africa that he can fight them. He knows how to fight. And if they want war, he's ready. Now, this is a statement coming from a member of the East Africa community, Rwanda. I know he might be joking, but I would like His Excellency President Paul Kagame to withdraw that statement against South Africa because it has been big in the media. Because we don't like an East Africa member country to say they are going to wage a war against a SADC member country, which is South Africa. Kagame has not withdrawn that statement. Maybe he has. You journalists might have seen it anywhere. And so I call upon His Excellency, the man I respect very much, President Paul Kagame, to withdraw that statement of we can fight you, South Africa, if you want the war. We are ready to do that. No, 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 no. That should not come from East Africa. And I think it could have been out of anger or whatever. I saw that statement, and we don't like to be in conflict between Rwanda and South Africa and anybody else in the region. So those issues drive me as Dennis to see that we are moving well. The ministers have been given 30 days. Chiefs of defense were given 5 days. And the ministers will be deliberating also on the report of the Chief of Defense Forces. And we still wait for 30 days. Within that, the ministers will be meeting to deliberate on the communique from the Dar es Salaam meeting. So that's why I say we are on the right track. It's only 10 days. But those are some of the developments which are unfortunate and which I'm seeing in the region. And if they are corrected, then we might go on a smooth road towards attaining peace in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo.
Okay. Before we move to another question, maybe, for 1 minute.
Yes.
According to what you have said and what happened, do you think where our East Africa will be in a position?
As East Africa?
Yes.
With regard to Congo?
Regarding to what you have said about Burundi, what has said in Uganda, then Uganda,
Congo and
Congolese, and even the statement gave out by Rwanda president according to South Africa. What do you think a position of East Africa
community? Yes, you are right. The East Africa community remains a strong body. We are doing well as East Africa community, and all the organs are very well. The East Africa Legislative Assembly, the heads of state and government, and the people. The community itself remains strong, but the statements and the events which are happening call for a review of each country, each member state of the East Africa community, those I've mentioned, to review their stance with regard to the the problems and conflict in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Because, for example, I don't see a reason as to why the conflict is in eastern Congo, but Burundi is waging war on Rwanda. What do you pick from that? The war is in eastern Congo. Burundi is declaring war on Rwanda. Not on, you understand? It's in another country. What does it, what does it show us? So as East Africa community, I would very much argue the chair, His Excellency Dr. William Samoei Ruto of Kenya, who is the president of the, to look into all these kind of issues, and as wakubwa, as big, you know, they are our leaders, make phone calls one to another and say, no, I think let us concentrate and get things settled and solved in the Republic of Congo and leave away all this kind of stuff. And if there is a problem, we can always share it together. We already met in Dar es Salaam. We have the Rwanda-Nairobi processes going on, and it shouldn't be the way it's happening. So I think they will just look at it at higher levels as presidents, as heads of state and government. They have ministers, they have ambassadors, and look on how best can they go into it. And leave the East Africa, which I say is a very strong body, as strong as it is, and it continues to provide the socio-economic, political, and cultural services and deliverances for the development of the people of East Africa.
Okay. Another question, maybe let's move on. What do we think are still the main problem, focusing about Congo? So what do you think are the main problems causing the conflict in Congo? In Congo.
I mentioned it earlier when I spoke to journalists when the conflict had started in DRC, and they had wanted to know from me on what I thought were the main reasons. These are the reasons which we have always been giving. I've always been giving them, Paul Kagame has always been giving them, and other people have always been giving them. The problem of Congo is the richness of the minerals and metals and natural resources of Congo, where everybody internationally wants to benefit from Congo. And that's why at times you find some people in the international community not ready to talk very much about Congo, fearing they might lose trade or business with Congo. The country is rich in natural resources, in metals, in minerals, all of which are benefiting or not at all benefiting the Congolese. That's where the problem is. So you have this rich country, which I call the richest poor country, Congo. So that's where the problem is. Secondly, is the government of Congo segregating its own people in Eastern Congo, sometimes telling them to go to Rwanda because they speak the same language that is being spoken in Rwanda. You understand? That's where the problem is. And when that happens, then it creates people in Eastern Congo who are Congolese. See that the government in Kinshasa is not interested in their social, economic, political, and cultural development. That's where the problem is. But there's another big problem is that we have a lot of young people in Eastern Congo who are unemployed in millions, and they don't know their future. And so if you go there, you tell them, join our rebel group, they will just join because they're just the idle. You know? They're just there idle. There's a lot of idleness, and many young people don't have jobs in Eastern Congo. They don't have business. That's where the problem is. So anybody can tell them anything, you see? But the other problem is that the army of Congo, the Congolese army, you saw how M23 entered Bukavu. Like there is no army at all. So there is that problem of structural and structures within the government of Congo, including the army, which I find them strong but not that much strong. I don't like to talk much about them, but that is another problem, that some structures of governance in Congo are very, very, what I would say, very weak. You see, to conclude my discussion on that point is that Congo is a big country. I already talked about it last time, that you have 2,100,000 square kilometers of a country, 400 tribes, 400 political parties, 400 political parties. One region of Congo, like Kinshasa region, has 13 million people. Mkoa moja, one region, 13 million people in one region. This North Kivu, which they conquered, town is Goma, 8 million. South Kivu, 6 million. It's just a big country. Yeah. You understand? Yeah. It's just a very big country. And to that level, therefore, it needs another restructuring, you know, of how do you manage this country and what structures do you put in place. So the administration of the country has always been difficult for governments in Kinshasa, since Mobutu, since Laurent Kabila, since Joseph Kabila, even Tshisekedi, to manage this huge country, and a country where every step you step in is minerals. It's copper, it's cobalt, it's nickel, it's tin, it's diamond, it's gold, it's everything. You know, everybody wants to. You know, so that's where the problem is. So yeah, that's much of what I see. So then people in Eastern Congo, they say, if that's being the case, let us take our arms and let us maybe get our own administration in our areas, or if possible, overthrow the government in Kinshasa. And that's where we are. That is the main problem.
Okay, according to your experience, maybe, what do you still think would be the solution to the problem?
Solutions,
as we have seen, Rwanda people in a certain area in Congo, they have been moved, even in their houses, and burned their houses.
An unfortunate situation, definitely. It's very bad, yeah? What would be the solution? A few points. One, as I said, get jobs for the young men, young people who are in millions in Eastern Congo. Give them jobs, give them businesses, give them something to do. Incorporate the M23 and the other rebel groups who are Congolese into the Congolese army. Incorporate them into the army. Then, that is done with diplomacy, with dialogue and negotiations. Don't go militarily. That would be the solution. M23 should lay down arms and weapons. They should put off the advancement to Uvira, to other towns. They should leave that. They should carry what the East African community is telling them, and what the religious people are telling them, and what the United Nations is telling them, and AU and everybody. Lay down arms, sit on round table. Tshisekedi should talk to the rebels, should agree to talk to the rebels if we want to get something done, so that they agree on how best can they get the country moving. And also the mining, the minerals of Congo, which are just being looted by everybody. There should be a structural process of how the minerals in Congo and metals are managed, whether by international support to the government of Congo, but the minerals of Congo should benefit Congolese, being the first people to benefit before other people benefit out of them. If that is seen and people see that, you know, then there would be no problem. Another point before the last one is that Congo should work with the international community, and I thank the East Africa Community SADC meeting in Dar es Salaam, to make sure that all rebel groups, you know, stop their rebel activities in the soil of Congo. We have over 100 rebel groups inside Congo. Over 100 rebel groups. They should all lay down arms, get incorporated if they are, you know, get incorporated in something else. If they are from another country, work with that particular country on how can they go back and be useful into that particular country. All these rebel groups should be disarmed, you know, should be part of the ceasefire agreement, so that we don't have any rebel group inside the Republic of Congo. Last but not least, this situation of calling people who speak Kinyarwanda and tell them go back to Rwanda, that should stop. That should do what? That should stop. Do you know why?
Yeah.
Congo borders about 7 countries.
Yes.
In the north, we have the people called the Sango of Central African Republic. The Sangos in Congo are not being told to go back to Central African Republic. Northeast, we have South Sudan. There is a tribe called, I might miss the name, the Zande. Zande. About 1 million Zande are in Congo. They are not being told to go back to South Sudan. You come to Uganda. We have many Ugandans in Bunia and some other parts of Congo. They are not being told to go back to Uganda. We have Rwandans in Congo. These are the ones who are being told, because you speak Kinyarwanda, you know, and they are not Rwandans actually. I'm sorry for that statement. They are Banyamulenge in Congo who speak the same language as Rwanda. These are the ones who are being told to go back to Rwanda. We have Burundi bordering Congo, and there are people speaking Kirundi in Congo. They are not being told to go back to Congo. We have 11 million people as of 2019 in Congo who speak Kiswahili of Tanzania. No Mswahili in Congo out of the 11 million has ever been told to go back to Tanzania. No. But southeast we have Zambia. And the main language in Zambia is Kibemba. And 36% of the Zambians speak Kibemba. That's the main language in Zambia and Zimbabwe. There are millions of Bemba in Congo. No Bemba has been told to go back to Zambia. Southwest we have Angola bordering Congo. And we have a tribe called the Walunda, Lunda. The Lundas are in Congo. And no Lunda has ever been told to go back to Congo. Go back to Angola. Why only those who speak Kinyamlenge who are being told to go back to Rwanda? That is ethnic and racial discrimination. Now, if that stops, and those are Congolese, if that stops, the government recognizes that they are Congolese, as Chekedi has said several times, you won't see any problem. That's much of what I can contribute as of now. Okay.
Anyway, by winding up this, what do you think maybe could be a good way so that we can, maybe they can bring Tshisekedi, M23, and even Kagame to the table so that they can sit and discuss how to give a solution on it?
The Dar es Salaam meeting of the heads of state and government under the co-chair of Dr. William Ruto and President Emerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe, in one of the communique recommendations is that they are recommending that the Luanda process and the Nairobi process be brought together, and then we get more facilitators from within the region and from outside the region, reconciliators, mediators, negotiators, and all that. They come into the process, and then we expand the facilitators of that process, and then the process moves on. I think through that is when, and with the advice, not the pressure. You cannot pressurize the president of Congo, and sometimes you cannot pressurize M23. You need to negotiate and discuss with them. So with the discussions with the heads of state and government in the region, in East Africa, in SADC, and with AU, Africa Union, I think at a certain point President Tshisekedi can be brought to table with the M23 and the other rebel groups, because even the Catholic Church, which is the largest in Congo, the Protestant churches and the Muslims in Congo have always all been calling for that. And I think Tshisekedi has to be convinced, advised. You know, when you advise a president, you have to advise and convince. You can't go by pressure or by force. He's the head of state, he's the president. He needs to be advised that, I think, Your Excellency, very humbly and very kindly, you need to talk to M23. And Colonel Nanga, the head of M23, has always said that we are ready to talk. We are ready to discuss, but we know Tshisekedi won't be able to sit down. So even Colonel Nanga has to be assured that they can sit together with Tshisekedi. You know, Colonel Nanga was the chair of the Electoral Commission when Tshisekedi was being president the last time. He was the chair of the Congo Electoral Commission, Colonel Nanga. So they know each other very well. And I think Colonel Nanga would also be able to be advised and told that you guys can sit on a round table. As I said earlier, it's the only way that we can get a lasting solution to the problem in Congo and get the lasting peace attainment in the eastern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo. So that's much of what I think with regard to your question.
Okay, sure.